Welcome to Thomas Podcast on this lovely Saturday. Well, the weather's not really lovely, but hey. Okay, we are used to it, the Brits. All right, today I have a guest, Maureen Gordon, who is an author. I am super excited to have her. So how did I meet her? Well, when I was going through, sometimes when you go on Instagram, you see some profiles, random profiles, and I said, oh, let me get to know this person. And I just found out she's an author. And me, I'm a bookworm. I love reading. I can't get enough of books. I think I'm going to read for the rest of my life. Yeah? What am I reading right now? I'm sure that's what you're asking me. Okay, I'm reading this book in French. So I don't know if you saw my interviews on YouTube. I have done 2 interviews, one with the victim of this person, Dylan, and I've also did an interview with the former principal of that school of the shooting. Anyway, let's not talk about it right now. Let me welcome my lovely. Lovely. It's gonna work, Maureen, don't worry. I'm so happy you do your first live with me. Hello, Maureen.
Hello, Telma.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm
Great
good.
to see you. You've never done live before. Sorry?
No, never done live before, so I'm just trying to work out how to do it. So,
Easy, right? So easy.
now I know what to do. Yes, I found it. Thank you.
I'm so happy I'm the person who taught you.
Okay.
Lovely, Maureen. Can you introduce yourself fully to us, so who you are and what you do?
Okay, yes, my name is Maureen Gordon. I live in Kent, and I work in a business, my own business called the Hope Tree, and we support children and families. So one is with therapeutic support and help in schools and in the community, and also we do family workshops and family activity days throughout the year. That's what we do.
Fantastic.
Yes, so with a team of volunteers, I help to set that up and run that.
So my Hope Tree, when did you start this business?
When or why?
When?
Oh, when? Okay, it's in Ashford where we live. It's about 8 years ago now.
Why? Okay, so why did you start that business?
Oh, why? Okay, I've worked within the social care profession for many years as a social worker and doing many things, and I just felt that I wanted to do more in terms of supporting families, not just sort of sticking plaster things, but just to have more of an impact. So the idea came many years ago through me, social worker, what I did, and wanting to support families on a more sort of personal, not personal, but more a way that they get the support that they need and get the help that they need as well, through therapeutic support and help. That's why I wanted to do that.
That's fantastic. So I've went through your profile randomly. Sometimes in Instagram you see some profiles, and I saw yours. I saw that beautiful smile. I'm like, let me see who this person is. So apparently you are also an author.
I am, yes.
So can you tell me, when did you start your writing journey?
Started back in about 2010 or before that. I mean, long before that. As a social worker, I used to write all the time, but obviously for courts and for families and things. And one day, one of my sort of mentors said to me, Maureen, I see you writing. I see you doing this. And I'm like, really? She said, yes, I see you writing because of how you write already when you're writing what you do. And I never thought of that. I thought, no, I don't know how I'm going to do that. And then I used to do I love reading, so I read a lot.
Me too.
And at the time I was reading a book by Maya Angelou, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. And it really affected me and impacted me. And I just thought in myself, said, oh, if I'm going to write, I'd love to write like this lady, I'd like to write like her. So that was just me thinking that. And so years and years later, I used to do a lot of traveling, and I would come back and talk about my travels to my friends. And then they would say, "Oh, Maureen, why don't you write about what you're doing? Because you do so many things." And so that's how it started writing, really. I started writing about my travels and my journey as a Christian, going to different parts of the world and what I did there and how, as a Christian, God helped me. So that's what I did. I wrote my first book back then. It was published, I think, in 2010.
Ah, fantastic. So
Yes.
basically, the journey started because people advise you to do it, like encourage you to do it. But
Yes.
also, what skills do you need to possess to be a writer?
I think you just have to have a lot of imagination, and you need to be inspired by something. So for me, when I write now, it's everyday things. So it's either a personal experience, or someone suggests something to me, or I've been living those things as well. So that's where it comes from. Really, it comes from within you. And so it could be your own personal journey, or it could be a non-fiction things. So for instance, I've written a book around what I do, what I did as a social worker and as a therapist. So I've done sort of a non-fiction writing to support young people. So you can do all those kind of things. So that's what I've done over the years. And
So, go on, sorry.
as I've thought more about, oh, I enjoy this. And it also has to be a passion. You have to come to enjoy it, because it's a lonely process. So you have to have something that keeps you going and keeps you
Yeah,
writing.
that's
And
amazing.
yes, so that's the only thing, you have to start. You just have to start writing.
That's true. So you just started to write, and then you sort of like let you know, your imagination, creativity carry you writing. So
Yeah.
do you have a writer's block sometimes?
Yes, you do. You have writer's block because you don't really know where you're going with this. And I leave it for a while. Some stories I've been writing for a few years, on and off. I pick them up, I leave them, and then I go back to them. And it depends what I'm doing. So if I'm very busy, I don't have time to do that. But it's my own therapy. Writing is my own therapy. So I use it as a way of just relaxing and calming. And it also takes you to a different world. So when you write, you make up anything you want to make up, in a sense, any stories that you want to make up. And that you can, obviously when you read books, that takes you to a different place as well, and you get lost in your book. So it's the same thing when you're writing. You can get lost in your stories and lost in your journey, and then you begin to think, I'm driving in my car and an idea comes to me. I'm at work and something comes to me and I think I need to write that down. So anytime you have that process going on in your brain, then you're writing. Really, you just want to write it down and keep going and see what comes with it.
Listen, the reason also why I wanted to talk to you so badly is because I've been wanting to write. I'm a bookworm. I've got so many books, and I have, I've told you this before, I've done film studies.
Hmm.
I have also studied at university.
Hmm.
I love the creativity, but it's
Yeah.
so hard to get started. I've started and I stopped, I started, I stopped. How do
Hmm.
you just start? I think that's the best
How
question.
do I just start? Like for instance, when my very first book, someone suggested that I had kept a diary, and not a very good diary, and I wish I'd kept more information. So I kept a diary, and I also spoke to people that I was working with at the time. Can you remember this scenario? Can you remember that? And so that helped me to jog my memory about whatever it was at the time. So that's how I started, really. And then once you've written it, you have to be brave enough to get someone else to look at it and to give you ideas about it, or to say, well, why are you really writing this? What is this about? So I had that as well, in a very good friend who initially said, what are you doing? And why are you doing it? And then I thought, okay, I need to send it to someone else. So in the end, I sent it to someone else to have a look at it and see, does this make sense? Is there a story there? And then, the person who was a professional said, yes, it's a story there. You need to develop this, that, and the other. So you just have to start doing something, putting something on the paper, and be confident enough. And I think that's where it comes from. You need to be confident enough at some point to give it to someone else to look at it.
I totally agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
So once you have written, I mean, what's the process? So you write like a manuscript, and then you find an editor. Is that correct? How does that work?
Yes, the process is that you write the manuscript, you self edit as much as you can, and then you can give it what they call beta readers to people to read it and see what they think about it. So they might suggest some things, but then you give it to someone professional to look at, and there's lots of editing services around that you can do that, and they will do all kinds of different edits. You choose which one you want them to do to make it sort of logical, that it flows, that it makes sense, and all that kind of stuff, and then it's telling the story
Yeah.
that you want it to be told.
Okay, and then the last bit, I believe, is publishing the book. Is it? After
Well,
the editor?
depends what kind of book you're doing. You see, I write a lot of books with illustrations. So I write children's sort of self-help or children's books, narratives. So after the editing process, there, you can do it yourself. You need to get it formatted into a book, into the size of the book that you want, and when I first started out, I used to use KDP, which is part of the Amazon imprint, but there's lots of other people you can use now, Ingram, Sparks, these places, and they have all on their website. You can download a format, and if you can't do it yourself, you find somebody on somewhere like Fiverr or People Per Hour. They can format your book, or you can get illustrators and all these sites, and they do it for you. So
That's,
it's teamwork, really. It's not just
yeah.
you doing it, because you just can't do all of it yourself.
And I know I've asked this before, but what is the difference between a writer and an author? What's the difference?
I think a writer is an author. I mean, there's lots of writers and they do many different things. So some people do it as a profession full time. I certainly don't, because, I can't do that yet. And so I think once you've written something, because someone actually said that to me before when I first started going, and I started going into schools to talk about my books. And someone at the school said, "Oh, Maureen, you're an author now." And it didn't really register to me that I was. And I thought, yes, actually, I am. I am an author, because if you write
Oh,
something that gets published, whether you self-publish it or traditionally published, then you have put something out there and for others to read and enjoy. So you are an author. Yeah.
but one thing I like to ask the question to a lot of authors I had is really, for me, I feel like writing, reading as well, in the sense, is therapy. Do you agree with that?
I do. I do.
Yes.
As I said, yeah, it's therapeutic, and you have to have something, a passion to do it as well. So if you're not sure about it, and then you would just think it's about confidence as well, that what you're writing has some merit and has some value to it, and,
Yes.
and that it's going to actually influence other people,
Yeah.
whatever it is that you, and give people enjoyment as well.
Yes, exactly. Because writing is about, it's not just for you, because obviously, if it's for therapy for yourself, you can have a
Mhm.
diary and just do your own thing. But when you
Yes,
put
you
it out
can.
there, it's about how people are going to feel about the characters, the setting, the story.
Mhm.
I like that you have your readers in mind first, not just yourself, but for the readers. That's what I like about you. I feel like you're a very generous person. So what's the next step for you? So you said you want, I think you said that you hopefully would like them to be, in a film or something like that? Your books?
Well, yes, inspiration really, because when put some of my books on, like on social media or on Facebook, or I've spoken to people about it, they said, "Oh, we can see this as a play, or we can see this as like an animation or something on TV."
Yes.
And so, yes, I would like that. I would like to have that opportunity, or to connect with people who can help me to see that happen. So yeah,
Yes. Please
definitely.
join
Yeah.
groups. There are groups out there. You know what? What you just said to me, there's nothing to stop you, to
Mm,
do. So you go out there, you're gonna find groups, advice. I've told you, Black Old Economy. That's a good way to
Mhm.
go out of Facebook. But I'm sure your books deserve to be, you know, seen on screen on films. I mean,
Thank
honestly,
you.
I believe that's gonna happen for you. But
Thank
one
you.
last question before I leave you. Now, what would be your advice to young people that want to be writers, authors? What would be your advice?
I would say that they need to love English and they need to love words,
Yeah.
and they need, and it's not something that's a quick thing. It's something that they have to practice and work on, and they need to love. Did I say reading? You know, they
Yeah.
need to
Yeah.
engross themselves in books, and then begin just to write, write from their experience, write from when they're young, whatever is going on in their life. It can be like a diary. Many
Yes.
people, many people have written books from their diaries, you know, and so it's about everyday things that impact them. They can start writing about it. So it could be a fantasy thing. Children have, young people have the most amazing imagination. I think when we get a bit older, we lose it a bit. We can't imagine as we should.
Yes.
So that inner child, that inner thing, what you'd like to do, or what you'd like to accomplish, you can start writing about all of that.
Perfect.
So
Thank you so much.
starting, starting,
What
just start. Yeah,
Just start. That's it. Grab a pen and paper. Start. You're totally
yeah.
right. I want to say thank you so, so much for your time,
My
for your
pleasure.
amazing advice, for your kindness,
My
sharing your
pleasure.
time with me. Thank you so much. And we're going to keep in touch. I want to
Yes,
see what's next
definitely.
for your books.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Thelma.
Pleasure.
All the
Thank you.
best.
Have a Saturday.
Bye bye.
Bye
Thank you.
bye.